Okay, and here we're looking at numbers 31 through 45 of the semester review. The first question we have says to use an ordered pair to describe the translation of 2 units up, 3 units, or 2 units to the left, 3 units up. So the first number in our vector is going to be the horizontal movement. If it's to the left, it's -2. If it's what we would call the y-coordinate, what we normally would be in the y-coordinate spot, the second number is the vertical movement. 3 units up would be +3. So our vector would be -2, 3, which is D. Number 32, 2 sides of a triangle have lengths 5 and 16. What must be true about the lengths of the third side? Well, if we have a triangle, I'll do this so I could draw it. If we have a triangle, and we'll say that we have 5, 16, and x, you'll remember that the sum of the 2 sides has to be bigger than the third side. So 18 must be bigger than x. Therefore, and actually I wrote that wrong, that should be 16 here, which would make it 21. So 21 has to be bigger than x, or x has to be less than 21. Number 33, the transitive property. Well, if you have 2 things that are equal to the same thing, then they're equal to each other. So ST is congruent to WX. Hard to read this, but name the median. I'll just go ahead and draw this shape over here. Okay, and we have 3 segments going through the middle of this triangle. One of them is a median. The triangle is CDE, and then we have F here, G here, and H here. Well, you'll remember that a median separates the segment into 2 congruent segments, and that we have right here. So this segment is the median, which would be FD or DF. Okay, name the ray in the figure. Remember that a ray always is going to start with the end point. So we have M and another point on the ray, N. And it looks like that. So MN, this would not be a time we could write this as NM. It would definitely have to start with M. Okay, 36. Name the line and the plane. Well, the line here we use 2 points that are on the line, so we would have AB, and we draw the line above it. Now, sometimes, C could kind of be confusing because we could call it line A, but remember, we only use a single letter if it's a lowercase letter written out next to it, like that. So this case we don't pick a point on the line and name it that. So it's either A, B, or C, or D. And then we name a plane based on 3 letters that are included in that plane. And in this case, A, B, D would work. If it had said DCB, that would work also. Okay, number 37 says complete the statement if a transversal intersects 2 parallel lines. So here we have a transversal. We have choice A, which says corresponding angles are congruent. That would mean that that angle and that angle, which are corresponding, are congruent. Is that true? Actually, yes, it is. Remember what we said about D. Complementary? No. There's not going to be any relationship that's complementary here. Alternate interior angles are not supplementary, they're congruent, and same side or corresponding or consecutive angles are not congruent, they're supplementary. Okay, the smallest angle of triangle ABC. Name the smallest angle of ABC. I can't read the numbers very well. That looks like a 7 here. That looks like a 6, and I think that's an 8. If that's the case, we'll do that. Well, remember, the smallest angle is opposite the smallest side. The smallest side is 6, so the smallest angle in this case is going to be C, which is B, is your answer. Now, if I read that incorrectly and that is not an 8 and it's smaller than 6, then the side opposite that segment would be A. But like I said, I don't have the paper with me handy, and I can't read that on here. I'm sorry about that. Okay, our EFH collinear. We have these two lines. There's E, there's F, there's G, and there's H. If it's collinear, I should be able to draw a straight line through all 3 points. Well, E is here, F is here, and H is here. Those are not collinear. Okay. Number 40. In a video game, a character at 8-3 moves 3 times as shown by the following vectors. So what we're going to do with all of these, and I'll draw that in green over here, we're starting at 8-3. Notice that it says that the first move is positive 2, which means we're going to add 2 to the x-coordinate, and we're going to add 7 to the y-coordinate. So now we're at 10, 9. Next, 10 to the left, or minus 10, and minus 4, which puts us now at 0, 5. And the last movement says 1, so we're going to go plus 1 and minus 5, leaving us with 1, 0 would be the coordinates we were at, but that could not possibly be right because it's not an option. What did I do wrong here? Let me see. Oh, we started with 8-3. I copied it down incorrectly, which would leave us with 1, 1, because that would be 3 plus 7, which is 10, minus 4, which is 6, minus 5, which is 1. Sorry about that. So the answer here is C. Okay, 41 says to write an equation in point-slope form. You'll remember point-slope form is y minus y1 equals my slope times x minus x1. So, y minus my y-coordinate, which in this case is 3, is equal to the slope, which they tell us is 5, times x minus my x-coordinate, which is 4. And there we have it in point-slope form, which is D. 42, describe in words the translation represented by the vector positive 7, negative 1. Remember, the first number is horizontal movement. The second number is vertical movement. So the 7 is plus, so it's 7 units right, and negative 1 is 1 unit down, which is B. 43, how many lines of symmetry each object has? Well, we could draw a line of symmetry through it there. We can draw one there. Diagonals would not work, so it's going to not be C or D. Does it have point symmetry? Remember, point symmetry is when I can rotate it 180 degrees and still have it, and it map itself. If I was to turn this flag 100 upside down, it would look identical. Therefore, yes, it does have point symmetry. Classify ABC by its angles. Look at the angles. They're 23, 89, 68. Those are all less than 90 degrees. Therefore, it's acute. If one of those was a right angle, it would be a right triangle. If one of those was greater than 90 degrees, it would be an obtuse angle. Or obtuse triangle, sorry about that. And the last one we're looking at today, the measure of angle 1 is 2x, the measure of angle 3 is 108. Now, in order for these to be parallel, we would have to have corresponding angles congruent, and that's 1 and 3, so those would have to be equal to each other. We'd solve for x, and we would get x equals 54. My answer would be D in this case. All right, we'll look at numbers 46 through 60 tomorrow.